when the waters woke. The sky was bruised, purple, and swollen, pressing down on the flat Florida landscape with the weight of a storm that had been gathering for days. The air, thick with humidity, clung to every breath as if the very atmosphere was holding its breath, waiting for the inevitable. And then, like the crack of a whip, the wind came. Not the gentle breeze that stirred the moss in the trees, but a howling guttural roar that tore through the cypress groves and sent the Spanish moss into frenzied, tangled dances. Beneath the surface of the black water, the swamp stirred. The alligators, ancient as the land itself, began to shift. They moved like shadows beneath the murky flood, the storm's first call awakening them from their lethargy. The storm would bring them what they wanted, what they needed. In the rising floodwaters, they were kings, and the land would soon belong to them. The hurricane was no small squall, but a furious tempest, ripping the world apart with reckless abandon. Trees snapped like brittle bones, rooftops spiraled through the air like tossed leaves, and the roads, once solid beneath the weight of civilization, became rivers, wild, untamed, and hungry. The people, huddled in their homes, watched the storm's fury with wide eyes, knowing that nature was indifferent to their small lives. But it wasn't the wind they should have feared, nor the rain, battering their windows like 1,000 tiny fists. It wasn't even the rising water, though it lapped at their porches with the slow, inevitable hunger of an ocean reclaiming the land. It was what moved within those waters, silently, patiently. The alligators swam through the storm as though they had been waiting for it. Their eyes, glowing like coals beneath the surface, flickered as lightning crackled overhead. They were hunters, primordial, relentless, and driven by the simple truth that anything caught in the flood belonged to them. They prowled the streets, now submerged, weaving between the remains of overturned cars and shattered homes, like silent predators in a world that had returned to their dominion. One house, perched on the edge of what used to be a dirt road, now floated like an island, surrounded by the encroaching floodwaters. Inside, a family huddled together, parents, 2 children, and a dog, staring out the window at the storm's madness. They had boarded up the windows, stacked sandbags at the door, and done everything the weathered Floridian veterans said they should do. They had prepared for the hurricane. What they hadn't prepared for was what lurked beneath the surface of the flood. The gators moved with silent grace, their eyes flickering just above the waterline, watching the house. The wind howled, the rain beat down, and the floodwaters rose higher, inching closer to the threshold of the house. The gators had time, plenty of time. The storm would do the work. It would weaken the house, strip away its defenses, and then they would feast. Hours passed, the storm relentless, as if the very sky had declared war on the earth. Inside the house, the family prayed for mercy, unaware of what truly awaited them. The water was at the door now, sloshing against the walls. The gators, still silent, moved closer. One brushed against the side of the house, its rough hide scraping like sandpaper against wood. And then, with a mighty crash, the wind tore the roof off the house like a child, ripping the top off a toy. The family screamed, the dog barked, and the gators surged forward. The water flooded the lower level, pouring through the broken windows and door. The house groaned under the pressure, sagging into the rising tide. In the chaos, one of the gators, larger than the rest, made its move. It slithered up the porch, its massive jaws opening wide, ready to claim its prize. But as it lunged forward, something strange happened. The floor beneath its massive body gave way, not from the force of the water, But from the sheer absurdity of the situation, in the blink of an eye, the gator found itself not in the living room but in the pantry, trapped, surrounded by cans of soup and bags of flour. The family, momentarily stunned by the sudden quiet, blinked in confusion. They could hear the gator thrashing, knocking over shelves, but it was stuck. The father, shaking his head, looked around at the devastation, the roof torn off, water everywhere, and then down at the gator, now hopelessly wedged between the doorframe and a stack of canned beans. He sighed. "Well, if that isn't the most Florida thing I've ever seen," he muttered. The wind had died down, the rain slackening as the storm began to move on, leaving behind a surreal, flooded world. The gators, realizing their mistake, began to retreat into the receding floodwaters, no longer so keen on their pursuit. The one trapped in the pantry gave a final thrash, knocking over a bag of rice before finally wiggling itself free and sliding awkwardly back into the murky depths.
Thanks for riding along with us on this adventure. If you enjoyed the journey, don't forget to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more trails and tales. We've got plenty more to explore, so join us on the next ride. Until then, keep pedaling and stay curious. See you on the trails.